Welcome back to America's Forum. I'm John Bachman. We're coming up on the 25th anniversary of the passing of an iconic legend, movie star John Wayne. His reputation as a no-nonsense, tough-talking guy. Well, it lives on to this day, even decades after his death. But did you know that the Duke actually worked with the FBI to capture Russian hitmen? It's true. That's one of the tidbits from the new book by Travers called The Duke, the Longhorns, and Chairman Mao. You see it right here on the screen. John Wayne's Political Odyssey. The book tells the story of John Wayne's wild weekend in Austin, Texas of September 1966 when he was in Texas filming the movie War Wagon. Joining us right now to talk about this is Stephen Travers. Stephen, this book is very interesting here because it kind of shows us a side of John Wayne that we may have thought we knew based on his roles, but what he was doing in real life is fascinating. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, I found several. Actually, what I've come across here is really a writer's dream, because obviously John Wayne is a well-known figure. A lot of people have written about him and know about him, and yet I've come across information that's basically new. Assassination attempts and also speeches that he made that I think have threaded to the possibility that much of the language and monologue in the movie Patton comes from a wild weekend that Wayne spent in 1966. So in that respect, it's a lot of unmined territory about the Duke.
Well, take us through that weekend and give us some of the details here without, of course, harming your book in any way. But tell us what was so fascinating about this one particular incident in Austin, Texas.
Well, what happens is Wayne shows up for a USC-Texas football game because he's a USC alumni, former player. He's filming War Wagon in nearby Mexico, and he gets into a big to-do over the Vietnam War and what we're going to do to the communists in Vietnam. And he's using all this crazy language about what we're going to do to them. And what I've done is create a thread in which an assistant coach named Marv Gu, a USC coach, who had been one of the gladiators in Spartacus, and had used Kirk Douglas's speech. He liked to use movie speeches to fire up his team. And he starts hearing what Wayne says, and he changes his speech to the team, and it starts to sound like we're going to go through our opponents with, crap through a goose, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then 4 years later, all these USC players go to see the movie Patton, and they're going, that's more or less what Marv Gu's been saying for 4 years. And I've spoken to all these players, and I'm thinking, is there some connection here? Is it possible that, say, a USC film student named John Milius, who was a big John Wayne fan and later wrote Dirty Harry and Red Dawn, is the most conservative screenwriter in Hollywood history, is it possible that he heard about all this language and that he somehow goes to his friend, Francis Ford Coppola, then writing the screenplay for the movie Patton, tells him about it, and somehow this ends up in the movie? So that was the thread of the 1966 weekend, which nobody knew about and is completely unknown in the John Wayne pantheon.
And so you knew when you were hearing about this little anecdote, you knew you had something that a lot of folks would appreciate here. You knew you found gold, kind of.
I knew I'd found something, and I wrote a book a few years ago, and all these old SC guys, the announcer Tom Kelly, and some of whom are not with us anymore, kept telling me about this John Wayne weekend and this language that he was saying that mysteriously it ends up in the movie Patton. And so I don't really know whether it was conscious or it was meant to be that way. The thing about Patton is John Wayne was supposed to be in that movie. It was a Darryl Zanuck movie. Wayne was up for the role. He was going to be Patton, and then he dropped out in order to do the Green Berets. So I thought it was highly possible that Wayne, being a USC guy, was at the USC Film School. The other thing I find out is that Wayne gets into a huge argument with Nikita Khrushchev in 1958, which is almost identical to the movie, the confrontation that George C. Scott has with the Russian general at the end of Patton.
Huh.
Now, you go to the book Patton, Ordeal and Triumph by Ladislas Farragut, and these incidents really are not in that book. They're certainly not in the book with the color and pageantry that are in the movie. and I'm wondering, is it possible that this confrontation between Wayne and Khrushchev somehow makes its way into the USC Film School, and a guy like John Milius hears about it, and somehow consciously or unconsciously, or whether he hears the full story or whether it's rumors and random intelligence, to quote his screenplay from Apocalypse Now.
Now, you just mentioned... Go ahead, I'm sorry. Wrap it up.
Well, that was the thread that I wanted to discover, because it was too juicy and almost too perfect not to be true.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about somehow John Wayne's voice being funneled somehow through General Patton, through George C. Scott, through this vehicle of the movie Patton. Interesting topic as well. You mentioned Khrushchev a while back, but there's also this anecdote about Stalin, too, wanting to assassinate John Wayne. Why would Stalin want John Wayne dead?
Well, Stalin had made several movies based on the Russian Revolution, and the Venona Papers and Whittaker Chambers' book Witness the Soviet Union had infiltrated Hollywood. Just, the current Hollywood would have you believe that it's simply not true, that it's a lie. Well, it's not. It is true. It was one of his major operations. And so in 1949, one of Stalin's top guys goes to a friendship conference in New York, and he's hearing all about John Wayne. Who is this cowboy? He's making these speeches. We have to stand up to the Soviet Union. There's communist infiltration in Hollywood, et cetera, et cetera. This is the time of HUAC, and McCarthyism is right around the corner. And he orders John Wayne killed. The way Wayne finds out about it is Wayne is making Hondo in Mexico, and he's going through a divorce, and his wife is looking for dirt on him, and his wife has detectives that are looking for dirt on John Wayne. Well, Wayne's the security guys for the studio see these detectives and start kind of circling around what they're looking for, and in the meantime, they discover other people who turn out to be Soviet assassins. Wayne goes to the FBI and works with them and literally lure them into a meeting at the studio, which they are captured and turned only after, according to the story, and Wayne never told anybody. The reason no one knows this is Wayne didn't want anyone to know. Till long after he was dead, these stories come out, and I describe that in the book.
John Wayne, a strong, silent type. Maybe that's why we never heard about this stuff. But, as in his films, here we hear in life a larger-than-life character, and just so fascinating and great topic of discussion here. Stephen Travers, the new book is called The Duke, The Longhorns, and Chairman Mao, John Wayne's Political Odyssey. Fascinating stuff here, available on Amazon. It's great to talk to you, Stephen. We'll have you back soon. We'll keep more of these anecdotes about John Wayne. Can't get enough of this stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. You can, of course, weigh in and talk about this discussion or anything we featured here on America's Forum today. It's your chance to reach out to us on social media. We've had so many comments so far. We still have one more segment in the show. We'll get to read those comments, so don't waste any time writing into us. You can find us on Twitter, # America's Forum. The address is @NewsmaxTV. The email address is connect@newsmaxtv.com, and you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewsmaxTV. We'll be back with more right after this.